The arrival of the Fenix A320 for Microsoft Flight Simulator certainly got a lot of people excited, and it's hard to ignore the fact that we now have two really compelling A320s in Microsoft Flight Simulator, the Fenix A320 and the freeware project A320 Neo by FlyByWire. So is FlyByWire starting to take notice of the competition? Hey everyone, it's Hotchmania, and today I can't help but notice that certain features in the new update for the FlyByWire A320 Neo certainly look a lot like features we've seen in the Fenix A320. Now, we've done a couple different videos about the Fenix A320 here on this channel, and I absolutely love the aircraft, and I absolutely love the FlyByWire. They're very great pieces of software to be able to use in the Microsoft Flight Simulator community, and I really like the new features that both bring. They have a little something that really makes each airplane stand out. But FlyByWire just announced a new update to its EFB, the flyPadOS 3, which it calls a best-in-class EFB experience. And on May 28th, just a week after Fenix released their A320, the folks over at FlyByWire announced a series of upgrades and new features that came in the EFB, and a couple of them, I'm not saying that they're copied, but I'm saying that they're very similar in the sense that these new features appeared just days after the new Fenix came out there. Whether that's a correlation, a coincidence, or nothing else and completely separate, has no bearing, you be the judge of it. But I wanted to walk through some of the new updates to the FlyByWire EFB. Now, the EFB is, of course, the iPad. A lot of people call it, technically, it's the electronic flight bag that you see on the left side of your cockpit that you can use to do a variety of tasks. Essentially, it makes your life easier as a pilot in order to get yourself going and not only get up off the ground, but also get to where you need to be. And the advent of an EFB in aircraft has been a really, really helpful experience. It's gone from something nice to have to pretty much must do. In fact, the PMDG 737 crew, which launched without a EFB for their aircraft when it launched a couple weeks ago for Microsoft Flight Simulator, have already announced they're going to be adding an EFB for theirs because it's just that darn impressive. So let's dive into the features here. Now, depending on which branch of the FlyByWire project you have, you may have seen these features already. Basically, FlyByWire wanted to make sure that they refresh the entire EFB experience. And if you were on an experimental build, which I use quite often, it works pretty well. I've seen a lot of these, but a couple of features are brand new, and let's dive into it, see what's new here. Starting off, of course, with the main screen. So the new focus on the flyPadOS is to make things a little bit easier so you can get to what you need faster through them. Chief among them, you've got the option on the right-hand side to keep important information pinned. So when you go to different charts and different information, you have it pinned so you can easily get back and forth to it. Before, you had to kind of go through the menus, right? Go back to the home screen, use the navigation, which was fine, but really FlyByWire wanted to make sure that you can easily switch between screens without losing any data. Also among that, you're also going to see the weather data, which I absolutely love. I think the weather format in either a raw or icon mode is really helpful. Sometimes you want to read the METAR. Sometimes maybe you're not familiar with METARs. The option of doing both. Of course, the SimBrief integration in the FlyByWire, in my opinion, is superior to the Fenix in the sense that there is more that the plane can do on its own once you link with your SimBrief account. Just like in the Fenix, you import your flight plan from SimBrief, but again, it takes a little more of the steps away from you, like fuel as an example. You can instantly refuel based on the estimate, bring in the amount you need, refuel it instant, fast, or real time. The choice is yours. And then down in the McDo, it's actually faster because it plugs in more information from SimBrief into the flight plan. I really, really like that quite a bit. Of course, people fly the FlyByWire not just here in the United States or in English-speaking countries. There's support for over 30 different languages in there. And something I absolutely love, a new feature they've added, is integrated pushback. Now, this isn't just integrated pushback in the sense that you get a tug that'll call and you can go do that. Typically, when you do a pushback as part of the plane, you've got to manage it on your own in the sense that you need to go to the outside view and look to see where you're going, kind of like the equivalent of driving a car where you look over your shoulder to see where you're going. But FlyByWire wanted to make this better and more precise, so they provided a new turn radius and projected path through the map in the EFB. The goal is to be able to do pushback without having to switch to an external view. This is huge because in a lot of cases, you're doing other things like getting your engines going and setting other settings during the pushback. I really love this. And of course, the Fenix has a bug, I think it's a bug anyway, where when it does pushback, after a certain amount of time, it will just give up and just let go of the airplane and go back. And you have no choice but to taxi on your own from that standpoint. Whereas here with the fly-by-wire, first of all, it works the entire way. And second of all, you can manage the direction, the speed, and of course the path of what you're doing with Pushback without going in external view. This is huge. All right, so now we've talked about some features, and everything up till now has pretty much been things that have either existed in the development version or whatnot. This next feature is, in my opinion, straight out of Fenix's playbook, and that is a performance calculator. Fly-by-wire has always had a performance calculator, especially in the days in which it didn't have VNAV. It would provide you a distance calculator to figure out when your top of descent was, but now they have a landing calculator, and it's hard to ignore the similarities with the landing calculator for the fly-by-wire versus Fenix's, especially with the runway set on the right-hand side of the screen, and it will show you about how much runway distance you need. Again, I'm not saying they copied it. I'm just saying they look very similar and the timing is uncanny, but this is one feature that seems to me, the uneducated eye, that maybe there's a little bit of borrowing of ideas there. Certainly, you also have some other new features coming to the EFB on the fly-by-wire, including smart checklists. So that way, from everything from cockpit preparation to before taxi, approach, landing, takeoff, everything in between, you can do a checklist, which is really helpful. Of course, the Navigraph integration is a part of the EFB as well. Both Fenix has that and fly-by-wire. I do like the fact that you can pin the different charts. I always find myself constantly going back in to find different charts and having to get back to them again, but I really like the idea that you can pin these charts and then be able to quickly flip between them. This is really helpful on approach, landing, and of course taxiing. You have to get those charts up really quickly, especially during maybe busy times on air traffic control. You're going to need that during network time. So very, very helpful. Of course, you're also going to find failure simulations. Now, the Fenix definitely has way more failures because, of course, Fenix has designed all of its circuit breakers, and there's over 200 different failures on the Fenix, but fly-by-wire has its own, and certainly you can go through them, and it's easy to manage all that. But my favorite feature of the fly-by-wire is definitely the online ATC. So rather than having to, as they say, Alt-Tab out of your screen, go to your vPilot client and check which controller is online, it's super easy. Just simply go to the air traffic control for VATSIM tab in the EFB, and you can see every frequency that's online, that's in range that you can possibly talk to, and then either set it as your primary or your backup frequency. And in addition, you can also see the ATISes that are enabled for these areas. So it's really easy to be able to see what's happening without having to leave the cockpit. Again, if you're doing virtual reality, this is huge, but it's just really convenient to have this choice. I absolutely love this. And when somebody told me about this the first time, I was blown away by this particular feature. You're also going to find a couple other things in the new update to the flyPadOS 3. There are customizable lighting presets, so that way you always have the right lights on for different states that you want to do. And you also have what they're calling an AI co-pilot, which allows the co-pilot to control on-the-ground actions up to your takeoff roll. So the virtual pilot will be able to do separate tasks like a deer alignment to engine starts, and that way it's a little bit faster for you and makes your life a little bit easier. Now, if this all sounds great, there's even more on the horizon that certainly fly-by-wire is looking at. Fly-by-wire integration for local files, like being able to load custom PDFs right into the FlyPad, right-to-left writing support, pushback planning, improvements of brightness control, throttle calibration wizard, weight and balance loading page, and of course, drawing on charts. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this update to the fly-by-wire? I really dig the changes here, especially some of the features that really add a lot more integration into the aircraft rather than have to Alt-Tab and go somewhere else. But I also want to know, how much do you think of this is borrowed, inspired by, sort of looks a lot similar to the Fenix? Let me know which EFB you prefer. I'd like to read those comments down below. If you found this video helpful and you found it interesting, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to turn on notifications. We're really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so I really need everybody to please subscribe to the channel so we can get to that level. This has been Hotchmania, and we'll talk again real soon.